There's a laugh all of America knows, like for real. That infectious giggle, light and carefree, sounding like it came from someone who'd never felt pain a day in her life. But behind that iconic smile, this woman was fighting panic attacks so brutal her heart would race until she truly believed she was dying. While millions watched the happy blonde in a bikini and body paint, nobody saw the woman crying in the shower after tapings. Goldie Hawn. The name instantly brings joy. But there's a story Hollywood never told. The story of a ballerina rejected for being too blonde, too bubbly. Of a go-go dancer working platforms sticky with spilled beer, feeling ashamed of what she'd become. Of the woman the whole world called dumb, who answered with an Oscar. Because while America laughed, Goldie was out here proving something nobody expected. That being underestimated could actually be the biggest advantage ever. That behind the dumb blonde was one of Hollywood's smartest, most strategic minds. A woman who didn't just win an Oscar, but became a producer when Hollywood thought women couldn't. Who built an empire while everyone assumed she'd disappear by 40. So how did someone so dismissed turn rejection into power? What did it cost her to keep that smile on her face while everything inside was falling apart? And after decades of making the world laugh, why does her greatest achievement have nothing to do with movies? Before we get there, we gotta go back. Back to the ballet studios where a little girl learned she'd never be good enough. To the smoky clubs where shame shaped her strength. To the exact moment the dumb blonde decided to prove everyone catastrophically wrong. Goldie's childhood home in Tacoma Park, Maryland, was filled with music, but not the happy kind. It was her father's saxophone bleeding through thin walls late at night, practicing songs he'd play in smoky clubs for crowds that barely noticed. It was her mother's voice, sharp and strict, reminding Goldie that pretty girls were everywhere, but talented, disciplined girls were the ones who survived. From age 3, Goldie was thrown into ballet classes. Not because she wanted to, but because Laura Hawn had decided her daughter would get every chance she never had. The ballet studio became her second home, a place full of mirrors showing every flaw, every wobble, every imperfect move. Her teachers weren't sweet. They were demanding, harsh, honestly kinda brutal, the way dance teachers were back then. Suck in your stomach. Point your toes. Again, again, again. Later in life, Goldie said those years were both a blessing and painful. She learned discipline, sure, but she also learned she was never quite enough. The mirror became both teacher and enemy, showing her a body too soft, too curvy, too different from the thin ballerinas floating across the floor while she struggled. By her early teens, something else showed up alongside her dance skills. Anxiety. At first it was small, just tightness in her chest before performances, nausea before exams. But it grew, feeding on every correction, every comparison, every time she felt she failed. She didn't have a name for it then. She just knew sometimes the world felt huge, and she felt tiny. School didn't help either. She wasn't popular, not the top student. She was the girl who danced. Interesting enough to notice, but never enough to belong. Boys saw blonde hair and a smile, and thought she was easy. Girls saw the same thing, and thought she was shallow. Nobody saw the girl lying awake at night, heart pounding, wondering if she'd ever be more than just a pretty face in the background. At 16, Goldie made a decision that changed everything. She'd go after dance professionally. She enrolled at American University, but the real lessons happened in dance studios and small theater companies around Washington, D.C. She performed wherever she could, took any job that paid, and slowly realized something harsh. The professional dance world didn't want girls like her. "You're too blonde," one choreographer told her. "Too bouncy," said another. The message was always the same. "You're not serious. Your body is wrong. Your energy is wrong. You don't fit." Each rejection hit harder. Goldie started wondering if her mom had been wrong. Maybe discipline and talent weren't enough. Maybe the world was right. Maybe she was just a pretty girl with big dreams and nothing real to back them up. Then came the go-go boots. In 1964, at 19, Goldie took a job that would later bring both shame and strength. She became a go-go dancer, not in some fancy place, but in a loud club where men drank too much. The music blasted non-stop, and the platform she danced on was sticky with beer. She wore white boots up to her thighs, short skirts that made her uncomfortable, and a smile management demanded. It felt humiliating. After years of ballet, discipline, and art, She was reduced to eye candy, just decoration moving to the beat. Some nights, she'd see herself in the mirror and feel sick. Not a dancer, just a cliché. The blonde in a cage. But she needed money. More than that, she needed to survive. What she didn't realize was those platforms were teaching her something ballet never did. How to own attention. How to be seen without apologizing. How to take what people dismissed, her body, her smile, her energy, and turn it into power. By 1967, Goldie was 22, still waiting tables between gigs. Her resume was messy, full of small roles, backup work, and random jobs that barely paid rent and food. She auditioned for everything. Broadway lines, TV shows, commercials. The answer stayed the same. We'll call you. They never did. Then came the audition that changed her life. Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In needed dancers. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't even guaranteed to last. But it was work, and Goldie had learned you never say no to work. She showed up in borrowed clothes, anxiety buzzing through her like electricity. The room was packed with dancers more polished, more connected, more confident. She stood in the back, already expecting rejection. But when the music started, something flipped. Instead of perfect ballet moves, Goldie let go. She danced wild, free, like on those go-go stages. She laughed when she messed up. She looked producers in the eyes. For the first time in years, she was completely, unapologetically herself. And that's when everything changed. The producers saw something the ballet world never did. Not perfection, but connection. She wasn't trying to be the best dancer. She was trying to be unforgettable. And she was. Goldie Hawn got hired in 1968. What nobody knew was that the bubbly blonde in body paint, the girl delivering jokes in a bikini, the woman the world would label dumb, was about to become one of the most powerful comedic actresses of her generation. But first, she had to survive fame for all the wrong reasons. The mailroom was Simon Cowell's prison. For Goldie, it was body paint and bikinis. Both learned the same lesson. Let the world underestimate you. Then shock them when you prove them catastrophically wrong. Her journey from the girl who was never good enough, to a go-go dancer, to national TV wasn't glamorous. It was survival. Every rejection made her sharper. Every time she was ignored, she learned to see herself more clearly. The girl who once cried in front of mirrors was now stepping onto a stage where millions would watch. And yeah, she was terrified. When Laugh-In premiered in January 1968, it exploded. The show was chaotic, colorful, fast, a psychedelic dream of sketches, jokes, and dancers covered in bright body paint. And right in the middle of all that, laughing and vibing in a bikini covered with flowers and peace signs, was Goldie Hawn. America fell for her instantly, but not in the way she dreamed. They loved the giggle, the blonde curls, the way she'd trip over her lines and crack up. They loved that she looked harmless, non-threatening, almost like a kid. Goldie became the country's favorite dumb blonde. Basically a living cartoon whose whole job was to make people smile without making them think too hard. What nobody saw was the woman who went home after tapings and cried in the shower. The woman whose anxiety had blown up into full-on panic attacks. Her heart pounding so fast she thought she was dying. The woman reading fan mail calling her adorable and cute, wanting to scream, "I'm more than this." People thought I was the character, she later admitted, her voice heavy with years of fighting that image. They thought I was just this happy, silly girl with nothing in her head. And the more I tried to show them I was smart, the more they laughed. The producers loved her exactly because she seemed clueless about her own appeal. They dressed her in more and more revealing outfits, painted her body in wild psychedelic patterns, and had her deliver jokes while dancing. The camera stayed on her body, on the bounce of her curls, on that famous giggle. She was objectified, commodified, broken down into pieces that looked good on screen. And she went along with it because she needed the job, because she'd spent years getting rejected. And this was acceptance, even if it came wrapped in disrespect. Because deep down, that little girl who never felt good enough in ballet class believed maybe this was all she was worth. But Goldie was way smarter than anyone gave her credit for. While the world saw a dizzy blonde, she was low-key studying, watching the comedians around her. Dan Rowan, Dick Martin, Lily Tomlin. She learned their timing, their delivery, their craft. She soaked up how comedy really worked, how to hold an audience, how to make people feel something underneath the laughs. By 1969, Laugh-In had made her famous. She was on magazine covers, recognized everywhere, making more money than she ever imagined. But fame came with a price she never saw coming. Being invisible while being seen. Everybody knew Goldie Hawn. Nobody actually knew Goldie. The anxiety got worse. She had panic attacks before tapings, chest tight, breath short, convinced she was about to embarrass herself on national TV. She smiled through it, giggled through it, because that's what they paid her for. But behind closed doors, she was falling apart. I felt like a fraud, she confessed years later. Everyone thought I was so happy, so carefree. But inside, I was terrified. Terrified they'd realize I wasn't good enough. Terrified this was all I'd ever be. The breaking point came during awards season in 1969. Laugh-In was nominated for several Emmys. Goldie wasn't nominated for anything. She helped make the show a hit, but nobody saw her as a real performer. She was decoration, not an artist. That night, watching her co-workers walk on stage to grab their awards while she sat there clapping with that famous smile glued to her face, something inside her hardened. She made a decision that changed everything. She would prove them wrong. Not by complaining, not by begging for respect, but by becoming so undeniably talented that they'd have no choice but to see her. The dumb blonde was about to do something seriously smart. She was going to act. The audition for Cactus Flower in 1969 should have been easy. Goldie Hawn, America's giggling sweetheart, reading for a supporting role in a romantic comedy. The casting team expected the same goofy TV character to walk in. Instead, they got a real actress. Goldie prepared like her life depended on it, because honestly, it kinda did. She studied the script until she could say it backwards. She worked with an acting coach, digging deep into the character's motives, pain, and humanity. She showed up not as the bubbly blonde from TV, but as Tony Simmons, messy, real, vulnerable. Director Gene Saks saw it right away. "Where the hell did that come from?" he reportedly said after her reading. This wasn't the airhead from Laugh-In. This was someone with depth, range, and legit talent. She got the part. Then she scared herself wondering if she could actually pull it off. Filming Cactus Flower with Walter Matthau and Ingrid Bergman was straight-up baptism by fire. These were legends. And there was Goldie, the girl in body paint, trying to keep up. She was convinced every day she'd be exposed, that someone would stop filming and ask what she was even doing there. But when the cameras rolled, something crazy happened. Goldie disappeared. Tony came alive. Sweet but not stupid. Funny but not cartoonish. Vulnerable but strong. She used everything she'd learned on Laugh-In, the timing, the physical comedy, but layered it with real emotion. When Cactus Flower premiered in December 1969, critics were shocked. Goldie Hawn is a revelation, one wrote. She's not just funny. She's luminous. Another called her the best thing in the film. Suddenly, the dumb blonde story started to crack. Then came April 7th, 1970. Oscar nomination day. Goldie was asleep when her agent called, screaming, "You did it. You're nominated. Best Supporting Actress." For a girl who'd been dancing in go-go clubs just 5 years earlier, it felt unreal. The anxiety came back even stronger. What if it was luck? What if she didn't deserve it? What if everyone figured out she was just faking it? Oscar night arrived. Goldie sat in the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion wearing a yellow dress, heart pounding so loud she thought people could hear it. When her category was announced, she held her breath. And the Oscar goes to Goldie Hawn, Cactus Flower. The room exploded. She sat frozen for a second, totally stunned. Then she stood, walked to the stage in a daze, and accepted the statue from Claudette Colbert. Her speech was short, emotional, barely making sense. "I want to thank everyone who said no, you can't, because you made me say yes, I can." At just 24, Goldie Hawn had an Oscar. The girl they called eye candy had beaten some of the most respected actresses in Hollywood. The dumb blonde had won. But winning didn't end the fight. It made things messy. Hollywood didn't know what to do with serious actress Goldie Hawn. They wanted the giggle back. The blonde in the bikini. They offered her role after role that was basically the same thing with a different name. Ditzy girlfriends. Bimbo secretaries. Comic relief. Goldie said no. She'd proved she could act. Now she had to prove she could choose. In 1980, she made the boldest move of her career. She didn't just star in Private Benjamin. She produced it. A woman producing and starring in her own movie in 1980? Hollywood laughed. Until the box office numbers dropped. Private Benjamin made over $100 million and got Goldie another Oscar nomination. this time for Best Actress. The dumb blonde wasn't just acting anymore. She was building an empire. While she was winning in Hollywood, her personal life was quietly falling apart. She learned success doesn't protect you from heartbreak. If anything, it makes it louder. Her first marriage to dancer Gus Triconis in 1969 was doomed from the jump. She was 23, newly famous, and believed love had to look a certain way. Gus was handsome, talented, safe. But as her fame grew, cracks showed. She'd come home from sets and feel his resentment. Not exactly about her success, but what it meant. She was moving forward. He felt left behind. They met as dancers, equals. Now she was Goldie Hawn, Oscar winner. He was Goldie Hawn's husband. The imbalance ruined everything. I was too young to handle it, she admitted later. I thought love was enough. I didn't understand you need more. You need respect, partnership, growth. They divorced in 1976, quietly, no drama, just the end of a chapter. Goldie was 30, famous, wealthy, and completely alone. The loneliness hit way harder than she ever expected. All those people wanted her autograph, her photo, her time, and not one of them really knew her. Then came Bill Hudson. Bill was a musician with the Hudson brothers, charming, funny, and honestly, totally wrong for her. But Goldie was lonely, and Bill made her laugh. And in 1976, they got married in a ceremony that felt more like hope than certainty. At first, it worked. In 1979, they had a son, Oliver. In 1981, a daughter, Kate. Goldie threw herself into motherhood with the same intensity she brought to everything else. She was determined to give her children what she'd never quite had. Unconditional acceptance, the freedom to be themselves, a childhood without the weight of impossible expectations. But being a mother and being a wife to Bill Hudson were pulling her in opposite directions. Bill wanted the spotlight Goldie had. He wanted his career to matter as much as hers. When it didn't, when his band faded while her movies soared, resentment started creeping back in. Then came the betrayal that broke her. In 1982, while Goldie was filming Swing Shift, Bill had an affair. Not a one-time mistake, but a full relationship with another woman. When Goldie found out, the pain was so raw she thought it might actually kill her. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach, she later said, her voice still carrying that wound. I'd given him everything. My trust, my home, my children's father, and he just threw it away. The divorce was bitter. Bill fought for custody, not because he really wanted it, but because he could. Because hurting Goldie seemed like the only power he had left. The legal battles dragged on for months. Every hearing another reminder of how love could turn ugly real fast. What destroyed Goldie the most wasn't even the affair. It was what it revealed. That she'd ignored every red flag, every warning sign, because she was so desperate not to fail at marriage again. She'd chosen hope over wisdom, and her kids were paying the price. Oliver and Kate were too young to fully understand, but they felt the tension, the anger, the sadness their mom tried to hide. Goldie would tuck them in at night, singing lullabies while tears rolled down her face, praying they wouldn't remember this, wouldn't be scarred by it. The divorce was finalized in 1982. Goldie was 37, a single mother of two, and convinced she was done with love forever. She'd given it 2 chances, and both times it wrecked her. Why would a third time be any different? But deep under the heartbreak, something else was happening. Something she didn't even realize yet. She was learning what she wouldn't tolerate, what she deserved, what real partnership actually looked like. Bill Hudson would later become estranged from Oliver and Kate, choosing to walk away from his children rather than share them with Goldie. It was a cruelty neither child would ever fully forgive. But it taught Goldie something crucial. Being a father meant more than biology. It meant showing up. Years later, Oliver would say, "Kurt Russell is my father. Bill Hudson is my biological father. There's a difference." And that difference was about to walk into Goldie's life in the form of a man who would prove that love didn't have to hurt. That partnership could be real. That trust could be rebuilt. But first, she had a career to save. The 1980s should have been Goldie's victory lap. She'd proven she could act, produce, and carry films to box office success. Private Benjamin had made her powerful, but Hollywood had a different plan for women over 35. Irrelevance. The phone started ringing less. The scripts that came were honestly insulting. Mothers, grandmothers, the funny friend who only existed to support the younger, prettier lead. Goldie would read these roles and feel that familiar rage building. She was 38, not dead. She was talented, bankable, and still being told her time was up. Hollywood has this idea that women expire, she said in a brutally honest interview. We hit 40 and suddenly we're only good for supporting roles, for playing someone's mother or comic relief, as if life just ends when your face starts showing experience. But Goldie refused to fade away. In 1984, she starred in Protocol, playing a cocktail waitress who becomes a diplomat. The film was a modest success, but more importantly, it kept her visible, relevant, working. Then came Overboard in 1987. The film paired her with Kurt Russell in a wild comedy about a rich woman with amnesia convinced by a carpenter that she's his wife. Critics were lukewarm, but audiences loved it. More than that, they saw the real chemistry between Goldie and Kurt. The way they moved around each other like people who genuinely liked each other. Overboard wasn't just a hit. It became a classic. The kind of movie people quoted at parties and watched again and again. Goldie proved, once more, that she knew what audiences wanted better than the execs trying to retire her. The late 80s and early 90s brought a string of wins. Bird on a Wire with Mel Gibson in 1990. Deceived in 1991. Death Becomes Her with Meryl Streep and Bruce Willis in 1992. House Sitter with Steve Martin that same year. Each film reminded everyone she wasn't past her prime. She was in it. But the film that sealed her legacy came in 1996. The First Wives Club. Alongside Bette Midler and Diane Keaton, Goldie played one of 3 women dumped by their husbands for younger women who joined forces for revenge. The movie became a cultural phenomenon, a battle cry. It earned nearly 200 million worldwide and became an anthem. Don't Get Mad, Get Everything turned into a rallying call. Women filled theaters, cheering as the characters reclaimed their power, their dignity, their lives. For Goldie, it was personal. She knew exactly what it felt like to be underestimated, dismissed, told you didn't matter anymore. She'd been fighting that narrative her entire career. But even success couldn't stop Hollywood's ageism. After The First Wives Club, the roles dried up again. Goldie was 51, still beautiful, still talented, still bankable. But the industry had already decided she was a relic. She made a few more films. The Out-of-Towners in 1999, Town and Country in 2001. But her heart wasn't in it anymore. The roles were forgettable, the scripts lazy, and the message clear. Your time is up. In 2002, Goldie made a bold decision. She stepped away from acting. Not because she couldn't get work, but because she refused to accept the work being offered. She wouldn't play background grandmother roles just to stay relevant. She wouldn't shrink herself for a paycheck. I stopped because I wanted to, not because I had to, she explained. I'd spent my whole life proving myself. I didn't need to do it anymore. For the next 15 years, Goldie focused on what actually mattered. Her family, her foundation, her life with Kurt. She produced films, appeared in documentaries, but she was done chasing Hollywood's approval. Then in 2017, at 71, she came back and snatched a fun, light comedy where she played Amy Schumer's mother. It was on her terms. She wasn't desperate. She just wanted to do it. Hollywood tried to retire Goldie Hawn. But honestly, she retired Hollywood first. By 1983, Goldie Hawn was done with love. 2 failed marriages, betrayal, heartbreak. Lesson learned. Men couldn't be trusted. Marriage was a trap. Better to be alone than shattered again. Then she walked onto the set of Swing Shift and saw Kurt Russell. They had met before in 1968 when Goldie was 21 and Kurt was 16 filming the one and only, genuine, original Family Band. Goldie barely remembered him. Kurt remembered her clearly. He thought she was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. 15 years later, they were both different. Kurt was coming out of his own failed marriage. Goldie was still hurting from Bill Hudson. Neither wanted anything serious. We were just friends, Goldie said later, even though everyone on set could see the spark. I wasn't ready for anything more. But something changed. Kurt wasn't like the men she'd married. He wasn't threatened by her success. He didn't compete with her. He was steady, calm, grounded. He made her laugh. Not the fake, showbiz laugh. Real, deep laughter. Most importantly, he saw her. Not the star. The real woman behind it. The anxious one with panic attacks. The mom scared of failing her kids. The girl who never felt good enough. And he loved her anyway. Their relationship grew slowly. Kurt met Oliver and Kate, and never tried to replace their father. He just showed up. School plays, homework, breakfast. Every day. In 1986, they had a son together, Wyatt Russell. For Goldie, at 40, it felt like a second chance. At love, at family, at something real. People kept asking when they'd get married. Goldie's answer stayed the same. Why would we? We're happy. She had learned marriage didn't guarantee loyalty. Bill Hudson proved that. What mattered was showing up every single day, choosing each other. Kurt never pushed her. He understood her trauma. If she never wanted marriage again, he was fine with that. He wasn't going anywhere. 40 years later, they're still together. No certificate, no legal tie, just love. He's my everything, Goldie said in a recent interview. He's been there through everything. The good, the bad, the scary stuff. He never left. Kurt helped raise Oliver and Kate like his own. When Bill Hudson walked away, Kurt stepped up. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Kate Hudson would later say, "Pa is my father. He's the only father I've ever known." For Goldie, Kurt showed her something she'd stopped believing in. That love didn't have to hurt. That a real partnership could actually exist. That trust without fear was possible. Their relationship isn't perfect. They argue, they clash, they deal with the messy stuff that comes with blended families and long careers, but they handle it side by side. In a Hollywood where relationships blow up under fame, where marriages barely last months, Goldie and Kurt are straight up different. They've been together since 1983, more than 40 years, and never felt the need to make it official. "We wake up every day and choose this," Kurt said. That's way more powerful than any piece of paper. For Goldie, the woman who'd been burned twice by marriage, who once believed love would eventually break you, Kurt Russell became living proof she was wrong. Love didn't destroy, the wrong love did. The right love saved you. In 2003, at 57, Goldie Hawn did something that shocked Hollywood but made total sense to anyone who really knew her. She founded the Hawn Foundation, a nonprofit focused on something deeply personal: children's mental health and emotional well-being. For years, Goldie carried the weight of her own anxiety in silence. The panic attacks that had followed her since her teenage years. The crushing self-doubt. Nights when her heart raced so fast she thought she was dying. She hid it all behind the giggle, the smile, the image of the happy blonde who had it all together. But she never forgot what it felt like to be that little girl staring at ballet mirrors, convinced she wasn't enough. That teenager whose chest tightened before performances for reasons she couldn't even explain. That young woman who thought success would fix everything, only to realize it made things worse. "I spent so much of my life fighting my own mind," Goldie admitted when launching the foundation. "I don't want kids to go through what I went through. I don't want them thinking they're broken because they feel anxious, sad, or overwhelmed." The foundation's main program, Mind UP, teaches kids mindfulness, emotional control, and social-emotional skills. It's been used in schools across the US and worldwide, reaching millions of children. The program helps kids recognize emotions, understand triggers, and build healthy coping tools. For Goldie, it was the ultimate full-circle moment. All those years of therapy, learning how to handle anxiety, realizing mental health isn't weakness, but something you care for like your body. She turned her pain into purpose. She didn't just donate money. She got hands-on, visiting schools, talking to teachers, sitting with kids, listening to their fears. She saw herself in their worried eyes, in the perfectionists, in the kids who felt like outsiders. "When I see a child learn their anxiety doesn't define them, that they can manage it, that they're not alone," Goldie said with tears, "it heals something in me too. It heals that little girl who thought she was the only one." The foundation became her proudest achievement. Not the Oscar, not the fame, not the box office hits. Helping children understand their minds, their emotions, their worth. She spent her life making people laugh. Now she was teaching them how to breathe through pain. And that, she realized, mattered more than any role she ever played. At 79, Goldie Hawn lives a life the anxious young woman in go-go boots could never imagine. She splits time between Los Angeles and Pacific Palisades with Kurt, surrounded by family, grandkids, and the peace she once thought was impossible. Her mornings are slow now. Meditation, yoga, beach walks with Kurt. No rushing, no pressure. She finally learned how to just be. Her face shows her age, and she owns it. No apologies. In an industry obsessed with youth, Where women chase the past with fillers and endless procedures, Goldie chose a different vibe. "I earned these lines," she said, gently touching her face. "Every wrinkle is a story. Every gray hair is survival. Why erase that?" She watched friends disappear behind surgery, their faces frozen, no longer matching their souls. She saw the fear of becoming invisible, the belief youth was the only currency. Goldie refused that game. Minimal makeup, natural hair, showing up as a woman in her late 70s who is comfortable in her own skin, and somehow glowing even more. "Beauty isn't about looking 25 forever," she said. "It's about being real, authentic. When I see older women trying to look young, it makes me sad. They're deleting their own history." Her bond with Kurt grew deeper over time. More than 40 years, aging side by side, holding hands on walks, finishing each other's sentences, laughing at inside jokes. "We've grown old together," Goldie said softly. "That's the gift. We're not who we were in 1983, and that's beautiful. We evolved, changed, survived. They're grandparents now. Oliver has 3 kids. Kate has 3. Wyatt has 2. The home once filled with the chaos of raising children is now full of grandkids running wild. Goldie, who once feared she'd be a terrible mom, became the grandma they adore. She bakes cookies, badly, tells old Hollywood stories, teaches them meditation when they're stressed, shows them getting older doesn't mean less. It means becoming more you. Her days are quieter but richer. She doesn't miss the spotlight, doesn't miss proving herself to executives who thought she was done. "I proved everything already," she said. "Now I'm just living." And for someone who fought so hard to be seen, the freedom of not needing validation is the sweetest win of all. When future generations look at Goldie Hawn, they won't just see the giggling blonde or the Oscar winner or the rom-com queen. They'll see something deeper. A woman who refused to be boxed in. Her legacy isn't just films or awards. It's what she stood for. She proved you could be beautiful and smart, funny and serious, blonde and brilliant. That being underestimated could actually be your superpower if you were patient enough. She showed women they didn't have to choose between career and motherhood, that you could fail in marriage and still find real love, that aging could be graceful, not desperate. She turned crippling anxiety into a foundation helping millions. She turned rejection and objectification into strength. Every heartbreak, every doubt, every no, she flipped it into power. "I'm proud of the work I did," Goldie said, "but I'm most proud of who I became." The girl in go-go boots who thought she wasn't enough realized she was more than enough. That's the real story. Her relationship with Kurt became a blueprint. No certificate, just choosing each other daily. No fairy tale, just 2 imperfect people building something real. Her kids, Oliver, Kate, and Wyatt, followed her path, but with the confidence she fought to build. She broke the cycle, gave them unconditional love. When asked what she wants to be remembered for, she answers without hesitation. That I was real, that I struggled, survived, and still found joy. That's what matters. In an industry built on illusion, Goldie Hawn's greatest win was staying human. She never lost herself, never traded authenticity for approval. From the insecure ballet girl to the go-go dancer to the Oscar winner to the anxious mom to the woman who found peace, her journey proves struggles don't define you. How you transform them does. She didn't just survive Hollywood. She reshaped it. Laughing, loving, refusing to shrink in a world that said she was too much or not enough. She was always enough. The world just took time to catch up. And now, dear viewer, her story turns to you. What will you take from it? That being underestimated can be your biggest weapon. That anxiety doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. That real love exists even after heartbreak. Goldie Hawn isn't perfect. She made mistakes, chose wrong, fought demons fame couldn't silence. That's exactly why her story hits different. Legacy isn't built in easy wins, but in rising after falling. Beauty isn't staying young. It's aging with truth. Success means nothing if you lose yourself. Think about the little girl in ballet mirrors, the go-go dancer hustling to survive, the blonde dismissed as dumb, the anxious woman who thought she was broken. Now look at who she became. Share your thoughts below. Tell us which moment hit you the most. Subscribe to honor not just the legend, but the beautifully imperfect human behind it. Because Goldie Hawn's greatest gift wasn't just making us laugh. It was showing us we can survive our own stories and still smile. Not the fake giggle she gave the world, but the real smile of someone who fought their way to peace.